and that. In Neil Postman's 1985 work, Amusing Ourselves to Death, Postman discusses television's effect on the public discourse and quite clearly declares that television is the paradigm for our conception of public information. As the printing press did in an earlier time, television has achieved the power to define the form in which news must come. It has also defined how we shall respond to it. In presenting news packed as vaudeville, television induced other media to do the same, so that total information environment mirrors television. In Chapter 7, titled Now This, Postman addresses the common news segue, now this, and how it's commonly used to indicate that what one has just heard or seen has no relevance to what one is about to hear. Postman uses a critical tone to say that this transition is an acknowledgement that the world, as mapped by the speed of electronic media, has no order or meaning and is not to be taken seriously. The newscaster means that what you have just heard is long enough, or that the previous matter that you must heard is morbidly preoccupied by it.
Bob Jennings coming up tonight on Action News. New developments in the Anna Nicole paternity fight. It's called the worst case of animal abuse in recent memory.
Really? Now this. We are by now thoroughly adjusted to the now this world of news, a world of fragments where events stand alone, stripped of any conversation to the past, or to the future, or to other events. That all assumptions of coherence have vanished, and so has the contradiction. In the context of no context, so to speak, it has simply disappeared. Postman discusses the common radio slogan, 22 minutes gives you the world. Really? It reinforces the fragments and disordered mind of the consumer. But today, who has 22 minutes for anything? The internet has the ability to take us along an endless pathway, something a newspaper cannot do. We can read a shocking article in the paper and then move on to the next story. Online, it is easy to prolong the agony or the ecstasy, to read the comments, follow the links, Google for more. You can follow the links and distractions until you end up far away from your starting place, reading, commenting, sharing on Twitter, Facebook, becoming involved, and interacting. The public has an expectation, first of interaction, and secondly to be heard. Following links and distractions until you end up far away from the starting place, reading, commenting, or sharing, allows us to get lost in the web of the internet. Whether it be Google or Facebook, the internet is interlocked, intertwined, and always connected. But now, back to TV's influence. Postman uses the example of the USA Today, and at the time of Postman's work, it was the newest publication and highly successful national newspaper, modeled precisely off the format of television. The stories were uncommonly short, the design heavily on pictures, charts, and other graphics. The sports section, he said, included enough statistics to distract a computer. Television changed the way in which newspaper was formatted. Television taught magazines that the news is nothing but entertainment, and magazines have taught television that entertainment is news, both in format and in context. But as time has gone on, mobile devices have further and more changed the format of print media. Today, the USA Today looks like this, highly weighted towards graphics, a clean, tab-like layout, almost clickable, with large photographs and lots of short stories. Similar to their iPad version, you could almost get distracted to tell the difference, lost in the context, but seeing the clear image of clickable tabs and large graphics. Today, we hope to interact with the internet, and the internet has changed the way we interact with TV. Today, you can Shazam commercials to get bargains and deals, get further connected with a product or brand. The news always asks you to join the conversation, to tweet your feedback, to connect on Facebook. Here's an example of McCain on the trail. What's more important, the potential president's words or what's going on Twitter? You wouldn't know because people are always connected, always looking for insight and to join the conversation. It's everywhere you go. Today, our political discourse is directly weighted towards joining the conversation. At a recent Republican debate, questions were directly typed in and heard from Facebook and Twitter. Suggested hashtags are used in the bottom corners of the news pages to get news stories and important events, like the nightly news, trending on Twitter. Blogs carry a tremendous amount of weight, and double-screen interacting has changed the way in which we view common sitcoms, award shows, the Grammys. But the news media has evolved and will continue to evolve in order to meet the demands of our society. The public demands interaction. The public demands its opinions to be heard. And although it can take away from the quality of the discourse, in a world where we have the ability to be heard and to hear the opinions of one another, the world where the discourse will happen with or without the news media is obligated to become a part of it. It may be fragmented. It may be full of transitions, but in an evolving society where there's an expectation for everyone to know at least a little bit about everything, what option does the television have? In a world where I can get the gist of what's happening in the time it takes for me to roll over and get into the shower, or to take a train 2 stops down the tracks through 3 apps on the cell phone, the newspaper and television industry would be foolish to at least not attempt to live up to that expectation. We today have the ability to pick and choose our news, not just our news sources, but the actual stories in which we read like never before. It may be possible that Postman foresaw the damage it was doing, but it may also be more possible that Postman was oblivious to the tides of change that are happening full force today in our society. The world is different. We demand interaction. We demand to have control. It is right to transition from the double homicide to the charity Easter egg hunt? Probably not. But to claim that our news is pure entertainment, or that facts are trivial, is irresponsible, as what we hear on TV is most likely read about just hours before through an app on our phones and reviewed the next morning in the paper. Our world and our news have multiple touch points, in which we may learn a little bit, but each time we learn a little bit more, and have the power and the ability to formulate our own opinions, to do our own collective journalism, and to take the fragments that are of value to formulate a more powerful story, more cognitive, and more connected to the audience than ever before. In a world where the consumer demands more, we expect more.